The Grand Budapest Hotel, directed by Wes Anderson, tells the story of Gustav H., a legendary concierge at a hotel between the First and Second World Wars, and Zero Mustafa, the lobby boy who becomes his most trusted friend as they deal with theft, murder, and the battle for an enormous family fortune. This is a movie I could watch multiple times and still thoroughly enjoy, and I think it has a lot to do with the way the film was shot, the pacing of the story, and the overall route taken in regard to relaying the story to the audience. Anderson is a director who is well known for his unique and original stylistic approach to filmmaking, and what he achieved with the Grand Budapest Hotel is no exception. One of the most notable features in Anderson films is his use of symmetry when it comes to framing shots. Not only does this make the film visually appealing, but it often aids the viewer in understanding who or what is the focal point of the scene. This stylistic choice is not only utilized in the Grand Budapest Hotel, but built upon by Anderson also using frames within frames when setting up his shots. Framing within a frame is another method of drawing attention to a particular point in a shot by finding a shape within the scene that will create a border around the focal point being emphasized. In the context of the film, this can be taken as a callback to the item that these characters are so fixated on, the boy with apple painting, by placing the characters in such a way that mimics the idea of a painting in a frame. The choice in framing can also be seen as a way to highlight the idea that the film focuses on a retelling of memories and stories very similarly to how paintings capture specific moments and can convey a story. With the framing keeping the audience focused on what the most crucial element is for each scene, the next aspect that contributes to the overall effectiveness of the Grand Budapest Hotel is pacing. The characters in this film move fast and talk fast.
Run to the Cathedral of Santa Maria in Brucknerplatz, buy one of the plain half-length candles and take back 4 Klubecks in change. Light it in the sacristy, say a brief rosary, then go to Mendel's and get me a courtesan au chocolat. If there's any money left, give it to the crippled shoeshine boy.
But by dispersing scenes every so often that leave room for little actions or strips of dialogue to be included that aren't entirely necessary but also aren't distracting, it enhances the comedic or dramatic effect of the story. Since this film is trying to convey a multi-layered story to the audience, those extra moments that are provided can help further character development and gives the audience little glimpses into who these characters are and how they behave outside of the events that are being retold. Things like Zero telling Agatha what her present is before she opens it.
Thank you.
It's a book.
Gustav noticing the nail polish colors on Madame D pre and post-death.
Oh, dear God, what have you done to your fingernails?
I beg your pardon?
This diabolical varnish, the colour is completely wrong.
The way the camera stays at a distance when the police chase Gustav instead of following the action. Stop! Or the moments Gustav and then eventually Zero apply cologne are a few examples of this. Even with the fast pacing and almost constant stream of information being given by either the characters or the narrator, it serves to keep the audience engaged by challenging them to keep up with and digest the information they are being given. Like I mentioned previously in regard to pacing, this film takes on a multi-layered story type of structure. The film opens on a young girl with a novel visiting the grave of the author, which then leads to the author of said novel addressing the camera and taking the viewer back to his younger self, who is recounting his meeting with Mr. Mustafa, the current owner of the Grand Budapest Hotel, who tells the story of how he came to be so connected to Gustav and the hotel itself. This layered approach to storytelling has the potential to be confusing, but the straightforward delivery of information that is given through the dialogue, voiceovers, and camera movements keeps the audience in the know about the events that are taking place. This is definitely not a movie you can dedicate half of your attention to and still get away with the same level of understanding in regard to the narrative, but it is also not a story that is entirely inaccessible to the audience. By that I mean that the story has a very good balance of delivering the necessary amount of information while not treating the audience like they are incapable of keeping up with a complex narrative. An example of this balance of storytelling is when Gustav and his fellow inmates are trying to figure out how to get the tools they need to escape prison. The camera zooms in on the Mendel's box, which tells the viewer right away that the next course of action is going to involve Mendel's, Zero, and Agatha, without it being confusing or left unaddressed until later in the film. The last moments that further highlight the attention shown to storytelling are by revisiting the layers of the story. Watching as the elevator doors close on Mr. Mustafa, then seeing the focus shift from the young author back to the old author, and finally returning to the young girl with the novel in the graveyard gives the whole narrative a rounded out and complete feeling. The use of symmetry and frame-within-frame structure to the shots not only made the Grand Budapest Hotel visually appealing, but it also contributed to the audience's ability to find the focal characters and moments to aid in following along with the fast-paced and multi-layered story. By the time the film's narrative has concluded, closure to each aspect of the film has been provided, which results in an undeniably well thought out, stylistically original, memorable, and entertaining film.